Good afternoon, everybody. This is Dr. Pranjal Sathe. I'm a senior pediatric consultant at PD Hinduja Hospital, Mahim. And today's my topic of this webinar is childcare in pandemic. Now, you all will think that this is little off date as we are nearly ending our second wave of COVID in India as well as Mumbai. But to be very honest, this topic is more relevant as overall parenting and childcare. And perhaps COVID has given us an opportunity to relook at how we are looking at parenting and childcare. So, pandemic or no pandemic, parenting stays the same. So, I'm just having some slides to have me a guide, but it will be much more of a discussion about the things. Now, all the viewers who are parents here will agree to me that it is the most challenging phase of life with no training given. Trust me, I'm a pediatrician. And when I had my own newborn in hand, which was already, I was in 10 years of training, I actually did not realize how to really do so many things about it, starting from the sleepless night and the cries where there was no reason obvious. Again, today's era, it becomes very difficult for parents because there are umpteenth number of choices. Information is not only coming from Nani, Dadi, Bua, and Mosi, but from Google Baba as well. So there is kind of an overload from all the sources. There are one or two children which are planned for these new parents, and parents want to do everything good to their ability for the child. And in that race, they actually get lost. So, what as pediatrician I have realized is what parents need is much more of guidance than they needed ever before. Coming to present day's issues, to be very honest, what my parents faced issues when they were rearing me up, or perhaps what 10 to 20 years back parents faced the issues, they were completely different than what today's parents are facing. There is shift of problems and concerns. There are less of infections and more of allergies. Now, what do I mean by infection and allergies? But in a very simple term, I can say that infection is something which is caused by living organisms, whereas allergies are caused by non living organisms like dust or pollens or artificial flavors and colors. So we see more of an allergies than infections. Again, in infections, there are less of a bacterial infections than viral infections. Now, what is the difference in that? Well, bacterial infections, we have antibiotics to kill the bacteria. But in viruses, we have not many antiviral drugs. And as you all heard or keep on hearing about how virus mutates fast, and that actually outgrows the antiviral effect. So these are the issues which are related to infections and allergies. When I was doing my residency, we used to see much more of a malnutrition, which is either deprived calories, deprived protein, and kind of deprived vitamins. But in what in nowadays practice I see is overweight and obesity. And in COVID, it has definitely increased. The waistline is going haywire. Children used to be very shy and non communicative or non expressive in perhaps 10 to 20 years back. And children, parents used to come and say that वो बोलता ही नहीं है ठीक से हमें समझ में कैसे आएगा. Nowadays, children are more aggressive. वो भी express नहीं करेंगे, but they will be extremely aggressive. Whether it starts as a कोली की child or a 3 साल का tantrum throwing बच्चा या adolescents who is actually playing video game and how they bang their door. It is the biggest example. There are families which are nuclear. And I see actually the concern happening when one child is admitted in the hospital, who will look after the other kid in the house. Nuclear families के advantages है, but disadvantages भी है. There is support system which is lacking, the guidance is lacking. And in crisis, parents actually feel lost. So, as pediatricians, our role has changed from being a caregiver only during the sick time of a child to, to being a support system for a parent to understand what's really happening with the child, to make them help understand right choices, and of course, help them make the child achieve their potential. Now, again, what is health? Now, COVID has taught us to look at health is much different way or much larger aspect than what we were looking at before. It is not merely an absence of disease. If the child or a person doesn't have disease, does he mean healthy? No, not at all. Is it only a physical and mental well being? No, not at all. Health actually includes well being in physical parameter, mental parameter, emotional parameter, which has taken a great toll in COVID, social. We have all have seen how social isolation suffers, and of course, spiritual. So all these five aspects, when it's in place, then only a person or a child can be called healthy. Now, again, healthcare also needs to be looked at it much more of a wider angle or a expanding way. It includes prevention, and as pediatrician, we actually started by guiding the mother to have a breastfeeding and advantages of breastfeeding, vaccinations, why to vaccinate, which to vaccinate, and many other advices. This is going to be prevention or retention of health. Secondly, detection. If the child is getting deviated from his regular health, we need to detect where the child is faltering, whether it's physical health or other aspects of health. Definitely, treatment forms the mainstream of healthcare system. But once the child is treated, rehabilitation, whether it's physical or emotional or social, is equally important as to treat the child. And all these things doesn't need only scientific knowledge and skills, which we all doctors are trained into vigorous training of our medical colleges. But it actually needs care and support. It's much more of an empathy training, which we doctors now have to impart to the parents. Uh, Coming to health points to look for or ask for. So, as a pediatrician, when I see a child and when will I understand whether the child is healthy or no? Is it only when I see a child with fever, cough, cold, or diarrhea that I will understand and train the parents how to keep the child healthy? No, not at all. It is basically the well baby visits, which are the vaccination visits in early years. This is the time when actually I understand where the child is standing for in multiple parameters. This is the time where the child is happy. He is kind of behaving normally in the clinic as he behaves at home. The parents are in much more of a listening mode. They can write down their concerns and come to me, and I can explain them rather than just answering them. So, well baby visits are very important. Somehow in India, because of the universal immunization program done extremely well in government hospitals, we are seeing less and less of well baby clinic because people take vaccination in government hospital, but then they don't come to pediatrician. They come only when the child is sick. And actually, I kind of miss out on so many points out here to explain to the parents or to understand the child. So I will tell all the parents to have a well baby visit with their doctor, even if the vaccinations are given at government setup. Now, what as a pediatrician I do, or what I want parents to expect from their pediatrician to do, is growth charting. Now, Indian Academy of Pediatrics as well as WHO has given many charts where there are plotting as per the time or the age and the weight and the height. That needs to be plotted. Whenever a child comes, only taking weight is not at all enough. The weight and height needs to be taken. In early years, head circumference needs to be taken. And all these things needs to be plotted on a graph. One single value, और फिर पेरेंट्स मुझे पूछेंगे मेरा बच्चा हेल्दी है कि नहीं, doesn't tell me anything. पहले बच्चे के वैल्यूज क्या थे और अभी वहां कहाँ पे है, that the whole charting or whole trend tells me whether the child is following his potential or no, or is faltering in height, weight, or some part. Same is with development. हम लोग बोलते हैं बच्चा चलने लगा, बच्चा बोलने लगा. Is this only development? Yes, that is an important part of development. But along with that, I want children to understand communication part, which again in COVID era has taken a backseat. Whenever the infant comes to me, I have to check about the development of the child in multiple area, which is ग्रॉस मोटर माइलस्टोन, जैसे बच्चा चलता है, हाथ से क्या पकड़ता है, फाइन मोटर दैट मीन्स उंगलियों से क्या करता है, लैंग्वेज, कितने शब्द बोल पा रहा है, कैसे बोल पा रहा है, सेंटेंसेस बोल पाता है कि नहीं. And last but not the least, social communication. Autism, which is swamagnata, is what we call is rising in Western worlds and now even in India, where there is a communication milestone which is lagging behind. So this is about development. Now, third part, which again is only seen and understood, is temperament and personality of the child as well as the parents. This is going to decide how the child is going to take any kind of a crisis, whether it's physical crisis or emotional or social. And if I see the child who's resilient in temperament, I know this child will do well even if the child falls sick. And if I see the child is kind of little sulky, I need to train the child as well as parents right there and then, so that tomorrow, even if the child falls sick, he can get back to regular life faster. Family structure. Again, whether the parents are nuclear family or joint family, is the child is looked after only by nanny. Most of the working parents, the child is looked after only by maid or help. In that case, whatever I explain to mother, then from mother goes to the nanny. It's always better I explain to the mother or nanny in her language, if possible, some basic subtle things about the child. So if your child is getting looked after by a help, please take the help to the doctor along with you, because they are the one who are spending perhaps 6 to 8 hours or perhaps more with the child and hoping that love and care. Again, if the family structure, if the in-laws are staying and there are whatever different dynamics in Indian families are saying, I need to understand whom to talk if I want certain things needs done to the children. Value structure, extremely important. I cannot teach a teenager to be not arrogant. I need to start it from the beginning. And for that, a parental training is extremely important. A parent is shouting at child, and what are you expecting? A teenage not shouting back at parent? Definitely not. So all these things is what I really observe, kind of note down and start training my parents. So even in the crisis, which is any kind of an illness, my child is ready to face the situation. Now, what am I talking about? You will feel, well, this is the base of a holistic care. And COVID has given us an opportunity to look at health much more holistically. What is the aim of holistic care? Well, it makes my child should be healthy, as all the points which I have written. My child should be happy. My child should be contented with whatever he has in any aspect of life. These are the citizens of future, and they should be ready to achieve their potential in whichever direction they want to achieve. And they should be a contributive member of the society. So all these things is what I want from my patient or so-called child. And that is the reason a holistic care, holistic upbringing comes into picture. Now, how will we achieve it? There are multiple ways or theories to achieve it. First and foremost, there are just few points which I've listed out here, but I'm sure these are just the guiding points. First is eating. We all know and we have heard it from our grandparents and grandparents that we are what we eat. If our food is in proper place, our bodies will be in proper place, our mind will be in proper place. Now, what does eating mean? Does it mean only the nutrition part, which is calories, proteins, carbohydrate, minerals, and vitamins? Yes, they are important part of it, but that is not the only part of it. How the food is consumed is equally important. If the child is sitting in front of TV or a mobile in hand and with a morsel of food in the mouth for hours together, do you think so this food is going to give nutrition to the child? Perhaps no. There has to be regular routine of how the child is eating food. Have an habit of at least having one meal together as a family. And COVID and work from home has given us time to have that. Again, proteins, calories, fat. I'm sure Google has taught us all these things. Definitely limiting sugar is very important. And nowadays, children are consuming extreme amount of sugar, and that is leading to kind of sugar cake or hyperactivity or attention deficit. So conscious decreasing in sugar is extremely important from a parent's side. Processed food should be limited because that's going to directly affect our genes. Our genes are going to get affected by what we eat. As such, all the foods which we are getting, whether it's plant or it's a non-veg, kind of is not greatly organic. All the plants are fertilizer based and all the meat which we are getting is hormone fed. But if at all you ask me personally which food is better, yeah, plant-based food is less of chemicals and interference than the meat. But choose whatever you are choosing in a conscious way. Have some specific meal timing. Every 2 hourly, the child cannot jump. There has to be specific timing like breakfast, lunch, maybe a short or small evening snack, which should be either fruit or some healthy serving, and early dinner. Uh, I'm actually tired in last 20 years by telling parents that as when the newborn comes out, we actually feed the child demand feeding. Whenever the child gets up and cries, we feed the child. We don't quantify how much breastfeed the child is taking. So we actually respect the child's understanding of his hunger. But as the child grows, like toddlers, yeah, maybe a child or an adolescent, we parents think that we know more than them and we decide which time the child should eat and how much the child should eat. Are we right in doing that? So I have always seen the parents who stop when the toddler says stop and don't try to force feed the last two spoons. These are the children who will love food in the future also. So always respect child's hunger. You have certain rules for it, but respects child's wishes as well. Once in 15 days or 20 days, a junk food, if the child wants to eat, it's completely okay. And perhaps he needs to earn that, but it should not be a regular affair. So this is as far as eating is concerned. Secondly, movement. Well, COVID in an initial part and again in second wave, maybe in March and April, took away our movement or exercise part. And that has kind of taken a toll on our health. But exercise is extremely important. So eating is like earning money and moving is like spending that money. If you eat and if you don't spend, you became Kuber, which is actually an Indian goddess that doesn't give you. You need to earn and you need to spend as well. Don't store too many things as a belly fat or a double chin or maybe as an insulin resistance in your body. So how much movement a child should have? Well, for a toddler, as much as the child wants to come, he should play as much as he should come and eat and just sleep without making him put to sleep. American Academy of Pediatric, American Academy says for adults 150 minutes of moderate exercise in a week. But for me, my children should have every day at least 45 minutes to 1 hour of vigorous exercise or any kind of a play. Minimum 5 days a week, if possible, 7 days a week. This can be free play as well as structured play. Now, why I'm saying structured play? Because some of the time, the few of the activities the child needs for whatever personality trait the child is lacking into. But as I said, exercise is important. Now, in COVID time, you parents will ask me, how will I make my child exercise in the house? It's not possible. Well, apart from that 1.5 to 2 months of an acute peak, I have always told my parents to at least move out or go to the terrace or go in the gallery and have some movement activity, whether it's cycling, whether it's running, whether it's walking, when there is no close contact. But an open air activity is must for each and every child. Third, sleep. Well, this is again a very important aspect which has gone for a complete toss in COVID because of work from home and no schools and multiple other reasons. Sleep is an important parameter of every human being. It gives you rest. It kind of calms down your system. This is the time when the child grows. What is happening is children are sleeping at 1 o'clock and 2 o'clock and getting up at 9 o'clock and 10 o'clock. Their growth cycle has completely gone for a toss. Their hormone cycle has completely gone for a toss. And so we need to have an early dinner and after that and kind of 10 o'clock or maximum 11 o'clock sleep routine, whatever the child was following when the child was going to school. and sleep early. It's early to bed and early to rise. This is the way to health. We have all heard it. And we have, I think in COVID, it has completely gone for a toss. So I would request parents to come back there. Again, a device should be taken away 2 hours before sleep. My parents should do that, children will follow it. Fourth is think. Well, positive thinking or good thoughts cannot be less emphasized, and we all know that. Again, important thing is gut brain axis. Well, Ayurveda has always said that gut is our second brain. And if what we are eating is not getting digested well, either the food is not well or because our gut health is not in place, the gut becomes leaky and the toxins kind of go to the brain. And it makes our brain irritable, uh, not in place, not in attention place. The biggest example or the commonest example how gut affects our brain is, during exams or pre-exams, how everybody has butterflies in the stomach. This is because you are so anxious, your gut is not in place. In the same way, when your gut is not in place, your brain will not be in place. Positive thinking, good thoughts throughout the day, and especially before sleep, is very important. For a smaller child, singing to the child, human voice, not the mobile. For a toddler, reading a story, and maybe as the children grow up, talking to the child to bed is extremely important. This is the time when the child is extremely receptive. Use that time to kind of develop thinking process in the child. Fifth is soothing. Every mechanism needs some kind of a deep soothing things, whether it's mother's lap for a toddler or some kind of play or music, any hobby, or just lying down in bed doing nothing. But always develop a hobby in the child. What I'm seeing in new generation kids is because they were so structured throughout the life, school, classes, extracurricular activity, they actually don't have any time to develop their hobby. But I think hobby is the only thing that 30 minutes, 1 hour, which is going to keep you core or for stuck to the ground whenever the life is not going the way you want it. So please make sure that the child has some kind of a soothing thing whenever he needs it. Sixth is connect, which is the most affected and neglected part of our generation or upbringing. I will come to this in few minutes in the next slide. Detox. Now, what we have learned is human body or any kind of a living mechanism is kind of blessed with the ability to detox. We don't have to do anything extra to detox our body. But when we overboard, we need a detox. It's like an adult, they see extra alcohol, then the liver goes, or tobacco, then the lung goes. Same way in children, I'm seeing extra, whether it's a Netflix or video gaming or continuous junking, all these things then needs a detox mechanism. So don't go in a direction where the body will not be able to handle it. Now, as I said perhaps a connect, which is the part which was missed in COVID. And we realized as a generation to generation how we are becoming socially alien. Now, I'm coming to any attribute or disease is usually 10% genetic and 90% environment. Now, environment means doesn't mean only the pollution and air. It means human environment as well. We all know that genes are now loaded guns and environment works as a trigger factor. Genes can turn on and turn off as per environment. So that means if the child is born something with some kind of a genetic structure, does the child going to live with that? No, it's not a static blueprint. That potential biological self. This is where the theory of nature versus nurture comes in. So a child comes with certain kind of potential from her parents and grandparents, but how we are upbringing the child, that is going to decide what he is going to do as a human being in future. Social connect. So human beings are social animals, and as a species, we are actually kind of geared to scan the environment with social isolation, social rejection, and social conflict. And whenever we perceive any of this or all of this, we actually go in a stress mode. Our cortisol or stress hormone increases, body inflammation starts. And this is the reason what we are seeing is quite a lot of immune dysregulation diseases coming into picture, or autoimmune diseases coming into picture. In COVID also, we have seen it a lot. Social isolation, rejection, and conflict, and how people who were isolated behaved. We all are aware of it. So how we experience the world decides the behavior phenotype and decides susceptibility. Now, why am I talking about all these things? Well, a same virus will attack 4 people. Maybe one will get it, 3 might not get it, or everybody's severity will be different. Do you think so? Virus did anything different? No. That person who received the virus kind of understood the virus in a very different way and kind of reacted to it in a very different way. And it's not only physical. This is the whole base which I'm talking for last nearly 20 minutes. It's not only a physical way that we are going to fight any kind of a stress, including virus or infection. So we need to understand the social connect is very important part of our life. Now I'm coming to a problem, which was pandemic, which was the topic actually given to me. But I thought I need to give you a base about overall lifestyle, which is kind of needs to be taken U-turn into. Now, in problems which we saw or seeing in pandemic, what did we really see? So luckily for us pediatricians, there were not much of a physical issues which my children faced. COVID actually kind of spared my children. There were not much of infection, but we saw completely different kind of issues in the children during pandemic. First was a screen time, and most parents will agree to it and they will say, kya kare, uska zarurat hai. Well, hand device is the culprit. Whenever you have something in hand, it kind of gives you an instant gratification. If I don't like it, immediately change the picture, I delete the game, I do everything else. So that is kind of a hand device, gives you an instant gratification, which is definitely not a great life skill for a child to learn and build a neural connection in. Cut off from a social interaction. Children are not at all interested in playing with other kids, because playing with other kids means adjustment. With my mobile, I am the winner. With other kids, I might have to adjust. So they are not at all interested in social interaction. They are isolated. They feel they are all alone because of the parental thing or COVID fear or multiple reasons. They are going in isolation, and we just heard how isolation can trigger an immune cascade. Children have become more aggressive. There is no expression to them. Only thing which they are saying is video games, and most of the video games, we all are aware, are just killing others and winning over. That is pure violence. Immediate gratification, as I taught. So, as a child, we used to have every weekly serial. So if I'm liking one serial, I have to wait for 1 week to have another serial. That is called delayed gratification. This is a very important life skill. But nowadays, children are having binge watch. Children, why children only? Parents are also having binge watching on Netflix. If you want to eat something, you immediately order and you get it. That is called immediate gratification. That is going to build a neural connection, that is brain to brain connection, in a very different way, which is not at all a good life skill to have. Refractory errors, that is numbers or specs, are increasing, and I'm seeing more and more kids with pseudo squint. That means their muscles are kind of overworking. You will see the eyes are not aligned to kind of see what they are seeing. And postural issues, well, I tell parents they're doing all yogas in different things. So definitely neck and multiple other issues with a growing weight has become a part. And that's all because of the screen time, which needs to be limited. It's like a knife. You can cut a vegetable with it, but you can harm the other person. So screen needs to be used with very caution, quite a lot of caution. Second is morbid habits. Well, again, intestine, if it's not moving properly, it's not going to keep your body in health. I give example of garbage truck. It needs to come every 6 hours or 4 hours. If it doesn't come, everything stinks. Same way, if you are not clearing your bowels or moving intestine at the right time, बच्चा ठीक नहीं रहने वाला है. बहुत सारे प्रॉब्लम्स देखे हैं हमने कॉन्स्टिपेशन या कब्जी के, बिकॉज मूवमेंट्स नहीं है, फाइबर डाइट्स नहीं है, फ्रूट वेजिटेबल्स नहीं जा रहे हैं, बहुत सारे स्वीट्स खाए जा रहे हैं, बच्चे को प्रेशर फील ही नहीं होता है, और उसकी वजह से बहुत सारे एब्डोमिनल पेन हम लोग देखे. कितना भी कोशिश करो, बच्चा पेट में दुखता है करके आएगा. But the whole thing is we need to make sure that अपने बच्चे रेगुलर टाइम पे टॉयलेट यूज करना सीखे. Same is bladder, that is सुसु करने जाना. They have to have pattern. Again, because of COVID, children are at home and they are not feeling thirsty. उनको प्यास लगती ही नहीं है. So I tell parents to have a quantity of water in front of them कि उतना बॉटल उनको खत्म करना है. And they need to be aware of going and emptying the bladder. Sleep hygiene, I have already discussed why you need sleep hygiene. Poor quality of sleep is going to lead to poor attention span and quality. This is actually going to affect the growth of our children as well. Again, बच्चे 10 बजे सोने जाएंगे पर पेरेंट 1 बजे सोने जाएगा, वो नहीं होने वाला है. The whole family needs to have a good sleep hygiene. Metabolic issues. I mean, सब पेरेंट्स अग्री करेंगे बच्चे मोटे हो रहे हैं, गणपति जैसे सबके ओबेसिटी बढ़ रही है. What I'm surprisingly seeing is quite a lot of children are developing, especially adolescents, early insulin resistance. That means you will see some black patches on the neck actually. Not all are pathologic, but there are few where they are having kind of tendency of insulin resistance. So here again, their food needs to be controlled and exercise needs to come into picture. And this has been a very conspicuous of this COVID last 1.5 years that we have seen. Psychological impact, which is most concerning to me personally. It actually, my heart goes out for these kids who are psychologically impacted. The infants have been excessively irritable. The social milestones delay हो रहे हैं. Normally, stranger anxiety 8 महीने पे आती थी, बाहर का आदमी देख के रोना. But nowadays, 3 and 4 month old child जिन्होंने सिर्फ मम्मी पापा के फेस देखे हैं, वो बाहर का आदमी देख के रोने लगता है. Tantrums. The only way they can get attention of their working parents who are either in the kitchen or in front of their desktop working is tantrums. What do they get out of it? Something to eat or a mobile in the hand. Screen addiction, again the same thing. I've seen actually a 3 or 4-year-old, if you give a mobile in hand and kind of walk him out, he will come wherever you want to take him. It's actually an addictive thing. Teenagers have become much more aggressive, or few have become very isolated. It's in two extremes which I'm seeing in teenage. Quite a lot of anxiety, quite a lot of panic attacks. Well, all this started with concern with around COVID, but now they're affecting every part of their life. So these are the growing brains, whether it's a teenage brain or an early brain. And this is where they are developing neural connections. This is where they are developing thinking pattern, how to perceive the environment. And they're doing it completely in a messed up form. Bullying has increased because there is no class teacher, and online bullying is also increased. All these things have actually led to many of my kids whose parents were not very aware in a very confused state. Academics and structured sports activities are completely increased. Why it's needed? Yes, it's good. The pressure has been taken away, but actually it kind of motivates you and gives you a drive. It gives you a discipline. It gives you challenges. All these things are taken away because there is no structure to a child. And to be very honest, the learning curve of my growing brains have completely flattened in the last 1.5 to 2 years. Trust me, we as pediatrician, we as community, we really don't know how to correct the damage which has been done to these kids. Now, it's not all black because of the pandemic. There are many good things which have also happened because of the pandemic. The rat race has stopped. There has been pause and there has been reflections. Many people have developed very conscious lifestyles. So हम लोग बेकिंग आइटम्स की दुकानों के बाहरों में लाइन देखते हैं, पर उतनी ही स्पोर्ट्स आइटम्स भी ज्यादा बिकने लगी है. We see many more parents, children running on the footpath, cycling, playing games, which was never that. किसी को टाइम ही नहीं था उतना. More and more spiritual and meditative or gratitude sites have been getting visited on Google or YouTube, which is very good. People are looking at the spiritual aspect of health as well. Family time has increased. To be very honest, my 2 parents are working. There are no grandparents. Few of my kids are so happy because they are having breakfast with their parents and dinner also with their parents, which they never had. There are less expenses. दुकानें ही बंद थी, खर्चा कहाँ होएगा, कहाँ यूज करेंगे चीजें खरीदी हुई. and less wants. जरूरतें कम हो गई, and actually we are able to differentiate between need and want. And if as an aware parent, अगर आपको ये समझ में आया है, I'm very sure आप अपने बच्चों को भी ये समझा पाएंगे. Somehow हम लोग थोड़ा सा रास्ता भूल गए थे और गॉड ने हमको अपॉर्चुनिटी दिया है, वापस देखो. As I said, I've never seen such an healthy season for children. बच्चे बीमार नहीं पड़ रहे थे, बैक्टीरियल इन्फेक्शन नहीं था, स्कूल नहीं जा रहे थे तो वायरसेस नहीं थे. कोविड ने हमारे बच्चों को बख्श दिया है. हम लोग बहुत सारी कम एलर्जीज देख रहे थे क्योंकि पोल्यूशन नहीं था या whatever it is. Last 1.5 months, when the life is coming back to normal, again we are seeing some kind of an illnesses. But otherwise, it was completely healthy season for my kids. Again, whatever damage has been done to our kids, if at all, with awareness, with limitations, or where because we were not aware, how can we correct it? Well, first and very important, I cannot correct my child by doing the things which I don't want him to do it. Set an example. अगर मुझे मेरा बच्चा 10 बजे सोना चाहिए तो मैं भी उसके साथ 10 बजे सोने जाऊंगी. अगर मेरे बच्चे ने जंक फूड नहीं खाना चाहिए या लिमिट करना चाहिए, मैं भी उसके सामने कम खाऊंगी. अगर मेरा बच्चा मुझे मोबाइल पे नहीं चाहिए तो मैं व्हाट्सएप और फेसबुक पे हमेशा नहीं रह सकती. सो ट्रस्ट मी, चिल्ड्रन आर वाचिंग अस. छोटे बच्चे शायद बैक आंसर नहीं करेंगे, पर जिनके टीनेज बच्चे हैं, आई एम श्योर यू आर गेटिंग बैक एवरीथिंग एवरी टाइम. स्क्रीन टाइम, एज आई सेड, वी नीड टू लिमिट इट. इफ एट ऑल जरूरत है तो स्क्रीन टीवी देखो, एज अ फैमिली हैव अ family screen time. That is better than having everybody having one device in hand and doing something. Bowel and bladder habits, right time पे potty और सुसु करना जरूरी है. Food habits, not only calories, vitamins, and protein and carbohydrate, a good habit is equally important to what you are eating. Sleep hygiene, बोला वैसे, right time and deep sleep. Communication, extremely important. Unless you try to communicate with the child, as I said, from a newborn to toddler to teenage, don't expect they will come and communicate to you. They need to understand that जब भी मुझे जरूरत लगेगा, मेरे पापा या मेरी मम्मी मुझसे बात करेंगे. जरूरी नहीं उनको हमेशा अच्छी चीजें बताना. Whatever problems you are facing, also you share. So they will understand that my parent is also not perfect, especially for a teenage child. Detox measure. Physical and psychological, both detox measures are extremely important. Life is full of stress, and COVID has given quite a lot of stress to many people, whether it was physical because COVID affected them or psychological because of multiple issues. Learn to have a detox measure, whether it is sports, whether it's talking to your friends, hobby, meditate, and actually inculcate them into your children. This is a very long way helpful measure. And develop stress handling mechanisms and pass it on to your kids as well. So, short summary, look at health with much more holistic angle. Avoid points are just important as investigation and treatment in a sick child. जब भी बच्चा बीमार होता है, आप करते हैं, आप तब इन्वेस्टिगेशंस करेंगे, ट्रीटमेंट करेंगे, बट ये सारे पॉइंट्स मुझे एक्चुअली हेल्प करेंगे. अगर बच्चा बीमार पड़ा तो कैसे उसमें से बाहर निकलेगा. फ्यूचर जनरेशन को अपना पोटेंशियल अचीव करने के लिए तैयार करो. दे शुड बी हैप्पी, दे शुड बी हेल्दी. And life has given us an opportunity to correct many mistakes which we were making in an unawareness. Stay safe, but definitely stay fit. Coming to an end, enjoy your children. Trust me, they just grow out very fast. Thank you for patient listening. Now, I think, Sonal, if there are any questions to be asked from our viewers or parents, I'm ready to answer them. Are there any questions, Sonal? I'm waiting for questions, Sonam. Follow. Yeah, I'm ready for question answer session. I cannot hear you on the. Yeah.
Yeah, doctor, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, okay. Sorry for the glitch. Okay, so the first question is how do we maintain a balance, mental balance and physical balance for children during lockdown?
Well, I think the whole lecture was about that only holistic care, actually. There needs to be nutrition, sleep, and exercise, and along with that, communication. All these things come equally important. Just preventing COVID entering your family is not going to keep you healthy. You need to have some kind of a mental activity going to happen. Communicate with your child. At least have at least half an hour to 1 hour of physical activity, if possible, outdoor with no contact. And sleep hygiene needs to be important. Very important is limit your screen time. Next question.
Okay, the next question is will my child be able to get the COVID-19 vaccine?
Well, this is the question, honestly, the whole world is waiting for. Now, UK has started giving the vaccine till 16 years. So they have come down. Still, there are not much of a safety data available for vaccine in kids because not many enrollment happen. Because COVID did not affect our kids much more because of multiple reasons, scientific as well. There were not many enrollment which happened. So we don't have a randomized controlled trial for our kids at present. But I'm sure it's on the way, and the age will gradually start decreasing. So definitely an adolescence like 16 is UK. Now gradually once we finish our adults, we will be able to get vaccine for our kids, but maybe on a reverse order like 16 and 14. Less than 12 hours, I'm not very sure of.
Okay, so the next question is there any trick in explaining children as they do not listen even if we tell them many times?
Well, the second last slide was the most important thing. Again, what age you are doing this? If you try to correct maybe a elder child like 10 years plus, then it's not going to happen. The training should start from an early toddler age. Respect these children. This new generation are extremely smart. If you are doing completely different than what they are doing, they are not going to listen. So set an example is the first thing. Explain to them what you are why you are telling them what they want to do. And after that also, if they are just not listening, don't correct everything with the child is doing. If he wants to sit down and eat, okay, let the child sit down and eat. But if he is answering arrogantly to somebody, that cannot be allowed. If he's not talking to somebody, that is allowed. So have your limitations or instructions uh, in limit. Don't correct each and every behavior of the child. Only things which are completely needs to be corrected and not accepted needs to be corrected. And again, start the instructions or start the training much earlier. As the children are growing up, they are not going to listen. And third, set an example. Next.
Okay. Are any of these new COVID variants more dangerous for children?
Well, there have been concern, but so far all the Delta variants which we are seeing, we have not seen children getting affected as much. But again, COVID is taking everybody for a surprise. So, but so far we have not seen the new Delta variant affecting our kids in any which ways, either more spreading or more severity of illnesses. No, we are not seeing it so far.
Okay. How can I protect my child from COVID-19?
Well, the same thing what you are following, you need to have a kind of a physical distancing, if not social distancing. Need to have a hand hygiene, preferably water, and not keep on using sanitizer if possible. And third thing is masking. These are the three measures which is universal for everybody. And along with that, all the measures of holistic health, very important. Thanks.
Okay. What should I do if my child has symptoms of COVID-19?
Well, symptoms in COVID-19, symptoms in children of COVID-19 are very, very different. They are from milder fever to diarrhea to rashes to maybe body ache to loss of taste or variety. But if you are suspecting your child has any kind of a symptom, actually come in contact with your at least family physician or pediatrician. If it's a milder variety, ask them whether we really need to test the child or just isolate the child. And if at all the test comes positive, If it's a milder illness, it's just a hydration and symptomatic care is what is advised. So again, it's the same instructions what an adult has to follow.
Okay. The next question is, can pregnant women pass COVID-19 to unborn children?
Well, the data is actually conflicting and changing because the virus has been with us for maybe 1.5 years or so. So multiple studies had shown the transmission can happen when the womb, the fetus is inside the womb. So from placenta to the baby. Second time, it can happen during the delivery. And third time, when the mother is breastfeeding, through the breastfeeding or because the baby is in close contact with the mother. The data says that the newborns were affected 2.8% when the mothers were positive. From which way the transmission happened, which we are not very sure of. So far, yes, out of 100, maybe two baby can get it, but from which way the baby is getting, we are not very sure. But again, these babies are not actually symptomatically greatly affected. The mortality rate is extremely low in even if an RT-PCR positive newborn. Next.
Okay. Is it safe to send my child back to school in this pandemic?
Well, honestly, this is where the whole policymakers are still actually struggling whether to send or not send. Definitely, the younger children will not be sent because it's difficult for them to maintain distance and mask and other things. But the teenagers whose academic years are getting wasted and they are more responsible, the school might, if the second wave ends and the third wave doesn't come into picture, might start in a limited way. If you feel the school is kind of responsible and your child is responsible enough to take care of whatever basic measures are there, then perhaps yes. But this is not the stage where I can tell you whether it's safe or not safe.
Okay.
Next.
Next question is, will talking about COVID increase my child's anxiety?
Uh, uh, how you're talking to the child. So, what is your anxiety level? That will percolate to my child. If you are talking about COVID to your child in much more objective way, this is the problem. This is the way we can prevent it, or we have to go through it because there is no other solution. This is an objective way of dealing it. Subjective way of dealing is looking at it with anxiety and panic. If you yourself is dealing with it much more of an objective, then unlikely that your child will get anxiety. But you yourself is looking at it with an anxiety, panic, confusion, then definitely your child is going to perceive it in the same way. So I would request parents to kind of introspect where they stand psychologically, because I'm seeing many parents very low in psychology. Definitely, there were families who suffered and they have reasons, but then seek out for the help. So, child will be your reflection, is a single answer. Next.
Any recommendations for activities to do if we have to self isolate?
Activities. Well, board games are the best to have family times, but otherwise, any kind of physical activity for the child and the whichever possible way is must. Even outdoor activities now, as the second wave is ending, with a fair amount of distance, any kind of movement activity, running, cycling, walking on a footpath, playing badminton, tennis. This is where you are not coming in close contact. This is when the child is outdoor. When you are in indoor, board game or any kind of an athletic activity, yoga, best of it, if you can do it under observation. These are the multiple activities which I would prefer.